Title: Japan's Path to Isolationism, The Closed Door. In 1868, Japan was poised at a crucial moment. The Meiji Restoration, which might have turned Japan into an industrial nation, never happened. The isolationists and party of Sakoku remained in control. As advocates of modernization and westernization lose their influence, those who favor tradition and isolation are ascendant in the corridors of power. Under the leadership of elements within the ruling Tokugawa shogunate, they insist that Japan's distinctive culture and way of life must be safeguarded at all costs, even if it means turning inwards and barring the door to the outside world. In this Japan, which is insulated from the outside world, Western methods are shut out. Christianity is suppressed. Sakoku, the national isolation policy, goes into effect. For 250 years, Japan stays frozen in time, closed to almost all contact with the West. And when Japan emerges, the cockpits of the great ships of worldwide ambitions turns homeward. However, while the rest of the world advances rapidly into the 21st century, Japan seems to be growing progressively more vulnerable, backward and isolated. Other countries are leaping ahead into the age of industry and world trade. Japan is losing ground because it is still living in the past, land of the tea ceremony, uniformed school children, and shoguns. The Japanese economy is currently in a state of stagnation. This is partially a result of the fact that domestic industries are still trying to catch up to their Western counterparts when it comes to technology. This makes it impossible for some of these industries to compete with their Western counterparts because they're still trying to acquire the necessary resources. As a result, Japan is falling further and further behind the rest of the industrialized world. As dissatisfaction swells among the people, especially the lower classes who suffer the most from financial difficulties, smoldering social resentments are common. The rigid hierarchical structure, maintained by the ruling samurai, is becoming harder for many to accept as the gap between rich and poor widens and the level of injustice mounts. In the midst of chaos and doubt, Japan's position in the Asia-Pacific region is changing significantly. Japan, which used to be a dominating force in the area, has decided to become more independent, leaving behind a void for other competitive countries to dominate Asia, such as China and Russia. During this time, China's Qing dynasty sees the chance to extend its control by taking over territories such as Manchuria, Mongolia, and Tibet. In the Far East, Russia takes advantage of Japan's weakness by expanding its territories with vast areas of Siberia and the Korean Peninsula. At the same time, Western powers like the United States, Britain, and France exploit Japan's isolation to expand their spheres of influence in the Asia-Pacific area. They make use of colonial outposts and trading posts throughout the Pacific Islands and Southeast Asia,